I am Abbie Rosenberg, and I am the founder and executive director of Mental Health Collaborative.
What inspired you to create the organization?
We are a nonprofit organization. I had worked as a psychiatric nurse practitioner for over 30 years, and I was seeing individuals, families, all different settings, doing psychopharmacology as well as psychotherapy. And then about 7 years ago, a former patient of mine tragically died by suicide. He'd moved out of state, and he ended up bequeathing me money. And for me, that was a real pivot in my entire career. And, I felt like that shouldn't have happened. Where we never want suicide to happen. And until that number is zero, this work needs to get done. So I used the money he gave me and started a nonprofit organization, Mental Health Collaborative. And we've been around for a little over 5 years now. Um, I yeah, and that is really what the inspiration was. But as he, with his death, if you had met John, you would have seen someone smiling, surrounded by people, well educated. You would have never ever known. Um, and I knew, of course, but I thought he was doing much better. And unfortunately, um, he did die by suicide. So that really it prompted me to do a lot of research on what were we missing, in our country. I focus on the United States, but this is a global problem. And really, to me, a really big missing piece where is something I could do something about it. There's a lot of things I can't do anything about, but was mental health literacy, bringing mental health literacy to everyone because we all need it, no matter who we are.
How did you get involved in the mental health field?
Oh boy, that goes way back. Um, I went to nursing school only because I wanted to be in Broadway, and someone said, "Well, you're never going to make it in Broadway, so go to school for something where you're going to get a degree." So I went to nursing school and worked as a nurse for a bit, and realized how much I loved talking to people at that time. So I switched into psychiatric nursing, became then a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and have done a lot of work in the field of psychoeducation, which kind of, when this happened to my former patient, it really brought me for full circle back to educating people.
So, what are some of your programs?
I started with schools. Our programs all center around mental health literacy, and strategies of how to really implement those strategies. So it's very preventative, meaning we don't want to wait till the house is on fire. We
Yeah.
want to get it before it starts the fire. So everyone needs this preventative education, just like they need all health education. But unfortunately, the majority of people never get mental health education. And then we're in a crisis situation and it gets bad. So this is not just for people with mental illness, although, of course, it's important when you have a mental illness to manage it, and know what you need to know. But it's all of us need this information. And yeah, so we teach mental health literacy. I can tell you what those important components are in my mind in the
Yes.
framework. Yeah, so no matter who we work with, which is schools, and so in the schools we work with educators, coaches, students, and parents and caregivers. And then in communities we work with everyone. In organizations we often work with youth serving organizations like CASA organizations or Big Brother, Big Sister, things, YMCA's, camps, things like that, to give them this information. And then in workplaces, because again, we try to go everywhere we can. But those four components are really important. So stigma is the first one. So we all know that there's many reasons why people don't get treatment that they need and deserve, and oftentimes that's stigma. So we give a lot of strategies. How do we break down that stigma, and help people with that? We don't want that to be the barrier of people getting what they need. So there's the second component is education about mental illnesses and their treatments. So especially with our young kiddos, we want, 75% of mental illnesses begin their initial symptoms by the age of 25. And if you don't know what those symptoms are, as a parent, as an educator, as a coach, you're not going to know when this is something urgent, when we need to refer, so that people don't wait. And I know you've talked about this before, that 8 to 11 years from the time you're suffering till the time you actually get a diagnosis, and treatment works. So we want people to get treatment. So anyway, the knowledge of mental illnesses is really important to know what to look for. And then also in this day and age, a lot of what is not mental illness, especially for parents, for students, there's a lot of self-diagnosing going on. So we really distinguish, what you're feeling is really normal and sad, but you're going through a divorce, or you didn't make that team that you really wanted to make. And this is a learning experience, but it's not to go running to a doctor to get a medication for mental illness. So we really talk about the different levels of mental health. The third component is my favorite, how to promote your own mental health. And that's going to look different for everyone, but we all need that. Life throws us curveballs all the time. And we give people a toolkit. We go through strategies, how to promote your mental health. And we know that that's going to look different for everyone. And it's going to change over time. When you're a kid, you might like your coping strategy may be very different than that same person when they're an adult. So we try to give as many tools as we can in promoting mental health. So that's a big one. And then our fourth component, which we try to customize our programs for this, because this is going to look very different in, rural Montana as it's going to look where I live.
Right.
So that is help seeking. So not only knowing when do you need professional help, when do you need to seek it, but then how do you access that? And that is a tough one. So we really help people and try to customize our programs within a school, within a community, within a certain workplace. Where do you get that help? And what's it going to look like too? We all have these visions, talk about stigma of, the person sitting on the couch in therapy and the therapist behind them asleep. That's not real therapy. That's not treatment. So we really try to tell people what to expect when you go in, because that could be scary.
And just hearing you, there was a lot that I could relate to. I live with bipolar disorder too. And then what you were saying, like, that's great. That would help me because with stigma, I wasn't diagnosed with bipolar disorder 2 until I was 37. So I'm like, what would it have been like if I knew this stuff and I was younger? So how important is it to let people know just about mental health at an early age?
Oh, it's so important, Michael. It is life-saving. And I myself, what fuels me is I have had stories. I mean, we do collect data. Our programs are evidence-based. They're adapted from the folks in Canada who are the pioneers of mental health literacy in the world. So we had, I went to Canada and trained with them, and then we adapted our programs to make them more US friendly. And but yeah, I mean, it is so important that we all get this education. And one of the things that shocked me, one of the statistics that shocked me is that the average delay between when someone first starts having symptoms, which is usually before the age of 25 in 75% of cases, and the time that they actually get treatment is 8 to 11 years. So, I mean, can you imagine if we waited 8 to 11 years when someone had an ear infection or
Right.
trouble breathing? We get help for medical reasons right away, but due to stigma, due to lack of knowledge, due to lack of access, sometimes we don't do that with mental health. So that's what we're here to decrease that gap of 8 to 11 years, and it's working. Like I said, the feedback I've gotten, some of our programs are sustainable, meaning we go in and I'll give you a great example of a coach. We go into a school and we teach the athletic director and some of the counselors our mental health essentials for coaches program, which is, coaches haven't had this either. And they're often the first people to see things or to have a good relationship with a student. So we go in and we teach them, but then the school then has that curricula in perpetuity. So every season they may get new coaches. They can give this this program to them. They might decide, coaches we know are mandated to have first aid every X amount of years, or all of these other courses that are so important, concussion treatment, um, but not mental health, which is changing. But I love that many of our programs, I love the sustainability because it's about, we're giving you this. You then become part of our mental health collaborative community, and we have a community of practice every 6 months. So if the staff changes over or you're not sure about how to deliver something, you can jump on with us. And the beauty of being a grassroots smaller company that is growing is that we have like a family of people who are delivering our programs. And yeah, this year we went into our 14th state. And it's really exciting. Again, so what I said, so I'm going backwards here. What fuels me is this example of a coach that called, and we get these real life examples or feedback data, sometimes from our clients. And so this athletic director called me and said, my coach implemented one of the strategies that you suggest in your program, and this student athlete opened up to him that he was suicidal. And the coach said he would have never, ever guessed that this kid was struggling, and he had never told anyone. And this coach was able, through part of our program is, who do you refer to? Do you just cross your fingers and hope that Johnny's going to come back to practice? Or do you have someone to talk to within the pathway of care? And so this person knew exactly who to go to. He did. And this student got help. And I do, when we can save a life like that, that makes me just keep on going.
Yeah, how does that feel that you're making an impact in people's lives?
Well, of course it feels, that's why I set out to do this. And I have a great team of people helping me. We have trainers. Our programs are not scripted. Um, they're all delivered by trained clinicians and educators who are really passionate about this. So we have a great team. And we're just, one step at a time, one client at a time, bringing this education to people because we just know how needed it is, and we're really passionate about it.
And what you said earlier with one of your programs promoting mental health, I think that's the big thing of getting people with lived experiences, their voices out. Because for me, that goes more a long way than data and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, and mental illness is common. Um, the latest stat is 20%, but I think that's way underreported.
Yeah.
Um, but we all have mental health. So we all have mental health challenges. We all have stressful times. We all need this education no matter who we are. And one of the things we say, and you'd probably appreciate this, in having bipolar disorder, is one of the things we say in our programs is um, you can have a mental illness and have much better mental health than someone who doesn't have a mental illness, because you, perhaps with bipolar disorder, have treatment, have good supports, know what are your things that you need to maintain your best mental health. And we all need that, whether we have a mental illness, whether we have great supports, whether we don't. We all need to know how to promote our best mental health. And that is one of the four components of that every one of our programs focuses on.
And I see some of your stuff on LinkedIn, and you get a lot of positive feedback from people in the mental health community making a difference. What is it like to get that support?
I feel like it's a collective effort. We're all doing our part, and it's not a competition because there's so much work to be done. So there are a lot of oars in the water, so to speak, but we're one of them, and we're rowing along and trying to make this impact. I can put in a plug. LinkedIn is really the only social media platform that we really focus on, and um, we still don't do a lot because we're a kind of a small but mighty team here. Um, but one of the things I'd love is if people could follow at Mental Health Collaborative is our handle on LinkedIn. The more followers, the more people that know what we're doing. Our goal is really to just bring this education to as many people as possible. And it's not a big lift. It's usually, a one-time thing, and then the education continues and the impact continues. So um, because we're a small team, we could use, as many referrals as we can get. So everyone knows people. So, school decision makers, wellness teachers, parents that want this for their community, they need it. Organizations, workplaces is a huge one. We do a workplace lunch and learn type thing, but we do a great program for young professionals, because that is an age that near and dear to my heart. They could really use the mental health education, as well as the strategies of that development, that time in their development of life that can be really tough, especially in this day and age.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Oh, I'm a work in progress, Michael. We all are. Um,
Right.
I mean, of course, I love walking. I try to make myself get up at 5:30 every morning to exercise. I know that my day will be much better when I do that. So I really try. It's a tug of war sometimes. Um, Connections, being with friends. I mean, or at least connecting with friends and family, so important for me. But I think the main thing is, and what we do in our programs is we try to give a toolkit, because what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you. Some people love journaling, some don't. And it's changing too. What worked for me 5 years ago might not work anymore. So it's really having all the tools you need. And for me, yeah, those are the things really, I think for me, that one of the biggest things, aside from movement and doing this work, which fuels my purpose. And everyone needs some sort of purpose, but really, connections are so important to me. My friendships, my family.
Where do you want to see your mission, say, in the next 3 to 5 years?
I just hope that we can continue to bring this education to as many schools, where as many communities, as many workplaces, to as many individuals. We want to impact as many individuals and save lives and change lives. This is foundational education, but like I said, overlooked. It's kind of that missing piece of the puzzle in many schools, and schools have a lot of pressure on them to bring in a
Yeah.
lot. But this is, again, something everyone needs. And whether they do it with us, of course, that's where I want to see our organization, or another mental health education, program. We really focus on middle school, high school age and above. Um, and I love collaborating. I collaborate with a lot of other organizations that might work with the younger population, and we love to promote other organizations as well, and just really work collaboratively. So thus how I picked the name Mental Health Collaborative.
What would you say to anyone going through a tough time?
Oh, I think listening, telling them that they might feel alone, but because that's big to feel alone, even if you're surrounded by people, but that I'm here, and that there is hope. Um, and just I would really say, listen and know that things do get better. Things ebb and flow. And so don't give up. And let me help you find the things that can can help you to get help, or help you to feel a little better. I guess, again, every situation's different, so it depends what they need. I think being a therapist has helped me in this second career of my life. But yeah, I think, we're none of us are alone in this world, and we shouldn't be, but we often feel that way.
Yeah. How can people reach out and learn more?
Like I said, we'd love your following on Mental Health Collaborative at LinkedIn. Our website is www.mentalhealthcollaborative, all spelled out, .org. And we have a newsletter on there. We would love it if people signed up for that newsletter. We don't send a whole lot, but we just kind of let people know what we're up to. Um, and we also have an email, info@mentalhealthcollaborative.org, if um, people want to reach us that way. But yeah, we're here and we are ready to, we've got some great trainers, and we're ready to do this work and make a difference. And Michael, I just wanted to say thank you for the work that you're doing in this field of mental health, because I've listened to a bunch of your podcasts and YouTube, and what you're doing is really, that is something I think that helps others. So I just wanted to thank you both for having me and inviting me on this podcast, YouTube, and also just thank you for what you're doing, because I think you're making a difference.
Thank you for that. That means a lot.
You're welcome.